Aron Ralston woke up early on April 25th, 2003, with a sense of excitement and anticipation. The day was clear, the sky an unbroken expanse of blue, and the canyons of southeastern Utah beckoned him like an old friend. Aron, an experienced outdoorsman, loved solo adventures. He thrived on the sense of freedom that came from navigating the remote landscapes of the American Southwest, where vast desert plateaus dropped into narrow, twisting slot canyons. That morning, Aron packed lightly. His backpack held just the essentials: a climbing rope, a headlamp, a small first aid kit, a water bottle, and a few snacks. He didn't tell anyone where he was going, a decision that seemed inconsequential at the time. After all, this wasn't his first solo hike, and he knew the terrain well. His destination was Blue John Canyon, a labyrinth of sandstone walls carved out by centuries of wind and water. He biked to the trailhead, stashed his bike in some bushes, and began his descent into the canyon. The walls rose steeply around him, narrowing as he ventured deeper. The sunlight barely reached the bottom, casting long, cool shadows. Aron moved with confidence, navigating the rock scrambles and tight squeezes with ease. He felt at home in the rugged, unforgiving environment. Then, without warning, everything changed. As Aron maneuvered over a large boulder wedged between the canyon walls, it shifted. In an instant, the 800-pound rock dislodged, trapping his right hand between it and the canyon wall. The pain was immediate and excruciating. He tugged, twisted, and pushed with all his strength, but his hand was pinned in place. He was trapped. The hours passed, and the weight of his predicament settled in. Aron had no cell phone, no way to call for help. He hadn't told anyone where he was, meaning no one would be coming to look for him. The temperature dropped as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the desert's biting cold took over the canyon. Aron huddled under a makeshift shelter of his jacket and rope, conserving his energy. The first night was a blur of pain and fear. He screamed for help, his voice echoing off the canyon walls, but there was no one to hear him. As the sun rose the next morning, Aron knew he had to think clearly if he was going to survive. He took stock of his supplies, just a small amount of water and a couple of energy bars. Not enough for long. Aron tried everything to free himself. He used his climbing gear to rig a pulley system, hoping to lift the boulder off his hand. He pushed, pulled, and kicked, but the rock didn't budge. Days passed and his body grew weaker. His water ran out on the third day, and soon dehydration set in. He could feel his strength fading. It was then that Aron made the decision that would define his survival. On the fifth day, delirious and desperate, Aron realized there was only one way out. His hand, crushed and trapped beneath the rock, was beyond saving. If he wanted to live, he would have to cut it off. Using the dull blade of a multi-tool he had in his pack, Aron began the excruciating process of amputating his own arm. The pain was unimaginable, but he was fueled by the primal will to survive. He knew that if he didn't act now, he would die in that canyon. It took hours, but eventually, Aron freed himself. Bloodied and weak, he wrapped his arm in makeshift bandages and began the grueling trek out of the canyon. He rappelled down a 65-foot drop, one-handed, and then hiked for miles through the desert, delirious and on the brink of collapse. Incredibly, he encountered a family of hikers who immediately called for help. Aron was airlifted to a hospital where doctors marveled at his survival. He had lost a significant amount of blood and was severely dehydrated, but he was alive. Aron's story became a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a reminder of how far we can go when faced with insurmountable odds. He later wrote a book about his experience titled Between a Rock and a Hard Place, which was adapted into the film. Aron Ralston's survival wasn't just about endurance. It was about courage, determination, and the will to live, even when faced with an impossible choice. His story continues to inspire people around the world, reminding them that, in the darkest of moments, the human spirit can rise above anything.